Hi, I'm Freelancer and welcome to Pixel Judge Interview. We've got Dan from KillHouse Games with us and we're going to be talking a bit about KillHouse and door kickers. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Ben.
Alright, so first off, can you tell us a little bit about KillHouse Games? Where the name came from to start with, just the guys that you're working with in the company.
Okay, so KillHouse Games is really just a small indie studio. We're three guys which are permanently part of the company, and we work with a number of freelancers. And it's the Door Kickers is our first game, but it's our first game as indie developers. We used to work for Ubisoft, Electronic Arts, and other companies which have studios here in Bucharest, in Romania. Yeah, so I guess we have a lot of experience, something more than 10 years, maybe each of us. But we wanted to try something a little bit different. Now, if you're asking about the name of the company, it was just something we came up related to door kickers. It's more like we're making games that allow you to try something like a military theme game, but in which it's not just the setting. You can actually try tactics from the real life. You know, put your mind to the contributions. You're not just wasting time inside the game, right? And if you know, a kill house is like a training area for SWAT troopers. It's a pretty common term in law enforcement. I think the term became a little bit famous because of maybe Call of Duty at a level which took place in a kill house. So it kind of represents the philosophy of our company.
You've mentioned that you've all worked at Ubisoft. Is there anything in particular that we'd see your names in the credits for, or?
Well, we're probably mostly famous for our contribution to Silent Hunter, which is a submarine simulation series. So, for example, I was lead designer on Silent Hunter 4 and 5. Okay, and we had smaller roles in other projects like Hawks or Assassin's Creed, Brotherhood, Revelations.
Your first game, what inspired you to make this? Why SWAT teams?
Oh, yeah. Well, the SWAT teams is just a subject that we picked because the original idea for Door Kickers, we came upon it when we were working on an iPhone game. And looking at the screen of the iPhone, which is kind of small, it dawned upon me that it would be good to display a blueprint, a plan of a house, right? And then on that plan of a house, to actually draw paths for some sorts of soldiers, trooper, policemen to go through the house and do room clearing. And we then moved the development to the PC because it's easier for us to do crowdfunding. We like the platform so much, and especially we like the community of the PC, which is very supportive. But the thing is, most of our levels, at least when we started the game, were all about buildings. Each level was a building or a little house, right? Not so much outdoor. And I don't think the top-down perspective works very well for outdoor because it's just, it's flat. So it made sense to stick with a theme that is like SWAT troopers because they are normally tasked with handling things inside an urban space, like a city, buildings, things like that.
Yeah. You mentioned crowdfunding. You've decided not to go with like the big ones, Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and just gone straight to selling straight to the players. Is there any reason you took that?
We didn't want to go on Kickstarter because mainly they offer their services to companies in the UK and the US, or at least they used to when we started the business. So it meant we had to go through lots of legal hurdles to start a company abroad just to sell our game. And to be honest, we are developers. We're not businessmen. We want to have the least amount of paperwork to do and just stay all day and work on our game, right? And then there's lots of problems with Kickstarter. You actually have to figure out sum of money that you want to. They take a part of that money. So, for example, you can read the argumentation that Prison Architects guys Introversion did against the Kickstarter. Not that they're against it, but why they didn't use it, and kind of on the same page as them.
Your backers, the people that have bought Door Kickers so far, what role do they play in development?
Well, the first role, I mean, everybody that buys our game supports us. Their money actually allows us to invest in the game. For example, to we got a better office, we got some and infrastructure, computers and everything to work together better. Also to invest in assets like sound and graphics and hire an artist to work full time for us and everything was actually seen immediately in the game. Also, for example, we used that money to get the Mac to actually release the game also on that platform, which is important for some folks, and we want to have as many people interested in the game able to play it. So that's just on the money side, right? But some people are more involved than that. They write emails to us with suggestions and feedback. They support us when we have hit a bug and we have a crash, and we send them custom versions to try to see if it fixes the bug before releasing it to the general public. And we also had a lot of guys who are part of our community on our forum. That means they offer feedback and discuss directly on the forum, or they may I don't know, take part in polls, do marketing for us, movies indirectly. But this is what a great community is. So we're really indebted to them.
Has any of their feedback affected the direction development's gone with the various alpha builds you've done so far?
Well, yeah, actually, early when we started selling the game on our website, we established a couple of contributor tiers, right? So there were, for example, the guys that just wanted to have the game and didn't care about the rest or couldn't afford, could get it quite cheap. But if they chose to pay a little more, they would get something like voting rights in our forum. So the guys that got voting rights were able to decide on what features we would concentrate for the first couple of alphas of builds. So, for example, we asked them, "Do you want to have like larger maps, or maybe maps with multiple stories, or a mission editor?" And they said, "No, no, we want to focus on this or that, which is more important at the moment." And we actually listened to them. I mean, we could have gone either way, but we actually did what they said. You know.
You've recently made it onto Steam and the early access program. I was quite happy to get my key from you guys.
Yeah, that's
with the
Steam is awesome.
But how has that affected how many people are buying your game? Is that increased buyers or increased?
Yeah. So we think so. Yeah. So it was incredible because of course we got a lot of new players and people buying our game on Steam, right? Which is good. Of course, part of the money that we get on Steam is actually goes to Steam. So the sales over there are not as effective for us, but there are people that wouldn't buy the game otherwise. But we also got lots of mail. From the first night that we were out on Steam, we started receiving emails, and we haven't finished answering them even today. 2 weeks later, because frankly, we don't generate emails to them. We just reply to them, ask them questions and things like that. We also got lots and lots of emails from people that were looking to stream the game, to do YouTube videos, to write in magazines. So lots and lots of visibility. It's very good. Especially since you don't just release on Steam, you come up in their recently released, in their hot sales and things like that. So people actually see you, not even if they don't look for you, they say, "Oh, there's a new strategy game. Yeah, okay, let's try it."
How was the whole process getting onto Steam, like with Greenlight and then early access? How'd you find that?
There is some work and legal troubles you have to go through, but it's not very hard. The hardest part is actually waiting to pass through Greenlight. At least for us, it was. I mean, we've been pretty cool with votes and everything that we got, but it was not a rocket project. We didn't come from Kickstarter with 50,000 voters, just to steam through Greenlight. Yeah, we had to wait for something like 3 months or more, actually. And the funny thing is that at some point we even got to be number one on Steam Greenlight because we were number 11, and the 10 games that were before us, in front of us, all got released. So we became #1 for 3 days, and then another game became #1, one of those zombie games. Yeah, and then we were released. I mean, approved, greenlit by Valve, which was pretty cool. Yeah, it's you have to work for it. I mean, do some marketing and get people to actually vote for your game. Probably some of them because of the demo we have put out, some of them for media attention. Like, for example, we had a video done by Total Biscuit who reached 100,000 views. Of course, some of them actually voted for our game. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. But you also have to accept that some people will be, like haters or criticize your game. And when you release a game, people that write to you emails in general, people that said, that's a good idea for a game, and they will write a good email, right? But on Greenlight, it doesn't cost them anything to just give feedback. And some of the feedback was just, this is just a clone of Frozen Synapse, or this is that, or that, things which are not true, but it doesn't cost them anything. And yeah, you have to go there ready to accept criticizing from people, even if it's true or not.
So you'd recommend going through Greenlight to other indies?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there are other methods, but probably if you go for a big publisher, but a big publisher will take a lot of your money. Yeah, I mean, if you have a good original game, you will go for Greenlight. And the most important, also it's important, we had the game out so people could buy it. And Greenlight also brought people to buy our game even before it was released on Steam. So it's a double win for us.
Going back to the game itself, I've been playing for almost as long as it's been around. I've been following it through the news and stuff we've put up on Pixel Judge. And just one of the things that's always interested me, why just the outlines instead of fallen bodies? Was that a technical thing? Was that a choice that you guys made?
It was just a choice. I mean, initially you could see the dead bodies, but they got cluttered pretty much pretty fast. And we had to implement something to either make your troopers and the enemies stand out over the dead bodies, but it was faster, cheaper at the moment to just remove them and put just the outlines. I mean, you would have something like a bad guy that would come over the dead bodies and you wouldn't notice that it's there, and it was very annoying. And in our game, basically, when somebody opens fire on you, you don't get much of a chance to return fire. You have to be the first guy shooting.
I've noticed that it's quite unforgiving, yeah. Do you have any hints about what's coming with the next update? I'm interested in hearing what's to come. I'm loving door kickers, and yeah, I want to see more. So
yeah, happy to hear it. Well, for sure, in the next update we'll have the trooper customization screen, which means that you'll be able to choose what they carry in their inventory. So, for example, you'll be able to switch the weapons a little bit. Probably not the full range of options in the first version, but it doesn't matter. Like if you want to have the M4 guys, the carbine guys, and switch their M4s to, I don't know, MP5s, which come with different stats, you can do that, or you can choose the pistols to be, instead of the 1911 they currently have, which is, has a small magazine but lots of stopping power. You can opt maybe for Glocks, which are 9mm, more rounds in the magazine. You can opt for more flashbangs, but maybe you don't use the breaching charges. And in time, we'll also add other options like making armor work in the game, or you'll have some sort of support gear that will be useful in some parts of the level. Yeah, we want to give the players that kind of flexibility. So yeah, also it will be the first version of actual persistent squads. So you'll have your troopers, you'll get a set of troopers when you start the game, and they will rank up heals, and when one of them dies, he'll be gone. These kind of things we want to put in the game, but of course it will be a little bit different when the game is final, when we'll have campaign, and well, yeah, it will be more complicated than that. And we'll also get to put in the game a couple maybe of the portraits that we had for our backers. You know, people can buy in our game to have their name on one of the troopers, which you can already see in some form, but also their portrait. So one of the troopers will have a little picture with drawn after you, and in time you start to see a lot of that in the game.
So what about beyond the next build? Is there anything you're hoping to have by the time it goes to beta or the full release?
Well, we'll probably call it beta once we add a couple of things. So of course, what I talked before about, and then the random mission generator, which is very important, and the random campaign generator. I mean, in our game, the campaigns will probably never be scripted as in a classic game, but you know, you'll have a string of missions generated according to a procedure, and you'll have to go through them. So gameplay will never be the same. You know, when you start a campaign versus when you start another one. So once we add those, and of course in the meantime we'll add all sorts of little things. Maybe we'll call it a beta. Now there are also other kinds of things which we add to the game, which will definitely change the experience. For example, snipers or using cover, leaning out from behind cover, windows, all sorts of things like that. So the actual gameplay inside the levels will change a little bit. We also have to add larger levels. Right now we're restricted to one screen, but once we add scrolling larger levels, it will be a little bit different. Also, buildings will come upon multiple stories. Yeah. So you could go on ladders or stairs. Yeah, that will also be a little bit different.
Once you've released, and that may be a long time away, depending on how fast things happen. How much are you planning to keep supporting door kickers once it's done? Are you planning on an expansion or anything like that at the moment, or?
Well, the actual release remains to be seen when it will be. We have a history. I mean, even as developers for Silent Hunter, to supporting the games we do. Now, when we were working for a big name company, it was a little bit different because we didn't have control over that. Now, as indies, we plan to really support door kickers. The actual release, it's not that important because we know we have a number of features that we want to have in the game. Maybe some of them will come as DLCs, which are free, or as a patch, right? Of course, we also have plans for door kickers too, and we'll probably be able to retrofit some of the stuff that we developed for that game into door kickers 1 as a free update. Also, new I don't know, units, enemies, and maps that will be pretty easy to add. And of course, you have to remember that door kickers will come with a full mission editor, and we want to have a way, either through Steam Workshop or I don't know, some other methods for people to be able to share maps between themselves. So we think support from us and the community will be pretty big for door kickers. But on our side, we're really committed to this project.
I've seen some of the stuff you've written in the forums, and you can just tell that you guys are as passionate about it as the guys that are buying it.
Yeah, no, we're really into this because we want it. I mean, number one, we want to do cool games, and number two, we really care about door kickers and about the game idea, and we want to do it right. So we're not stopping, for anything.
And you really care about the guys playing it as well, like the people that have come up with bugs in the game and suggestions, and just the way you've taken them on board and either released a fix fairly quickly, and you guys have released fixes really quickly. I've noticed a new version, and then the next day a patch. And the way you've looked after your backers and the players, it's not something you see from too many of the big AAA studios.
Well, we've been there, in big AAA studios, and the thing is, there are, big company, there are a number of layers that sit between the actual developer, which normally cares a lot about his game, and the actual public. It's not that they don't say want to release something or don't want to answer emails, but they normally don't even see those emails from the public. They cannot release something. I mean, normally you are said, okay, you've done this, it's done. We don't have a budget for a patch or for this. How many people does it affect? Wow, 100 out of a million sales. We're not releasing a patch for this, and it's very frustrating for the developer. But he doesn't really have that much control, and even if he decides to, just say, I'm going to release a patch on my own, that's not really possible, you know. Yeah, on as an indie developer, it's much easier, and that's why we prefer the indie experience. And on our side, when people actually trust you, they come to your side and say, who are these guys? Ah, I don't know, I never heard of them. They're just some Romanian guys. We're doing a game, it's not done yet, but I'm going to give them my $10. It's not a big sum of money, but it's still people's money, not ours, right? Yeah, so when they give us their money, it's natural for us to want to give back as much as possible. I mean, to make sure they can play the game, to make sure, they can use their game on their computers and everything. For example, right now we had a number of people who actually can play the game on computers which are lower than the minimum specifications, which are clearly printed everywhere, right? But they can play it, or sometimes they do have some problems. Like, for example, the game doesn't show it very clearly, but the words are not in the game. So they start the mission and everybody's starting shooting at the troopers because they can see them through obstacles, through walls, and that's not the experience that we designed. So it seems like a big bug, and some people actually took screenshots and sent those screenshots to us and explained the problem. And in a sense, it's their fault because they didn't follow the minimum specifications. But we still want to help them. So in the next version, we're gonna fix that.
And as someone who's still on a lower end PC, personally, that means a lot to me as well. Like, I haven't had any of those kind of issues, but just knowing that you guys are looking to the people who haven't got the money to upgrade or aren't able to upgrade at the moment, I just as someone who loves games, that's always wonderful to see. Is there anything else that's sort of happened in development that's funny or was unexpected?
Yeah.
Or
I don't know. It's funny because you get each day to watch movies or streams of people playing your game, and you say, "Why is he doing that? Ma, we didn't we make it clear enough that you need to press that button to blow the door?" Or he's not playing like it should, but it's actually your default as a developer because your game is not intuitive enough. So that's in a sense the funniest or the most frustrating part of your day. But on the other hand, the amount of mail that we get that say, "Oh, this is awesome! I've been waiting for a game like this for a while, and since they stopped making SWAT or Rainbow Six or whatever." And yeah, that's a great mail that we get, which is always a plus in your day.
and seeing some of those videos, it's the way you've done it. It seems to just be you've given us a bunch of tools and said have fun. So if you want to use the Go codes, you can use Go codes. If you want to pause every 5 seconds, you can pause every 5 seconds, or and just stuff like that. And that's part of what makes it so fun.
Yeah, and the thing is that, for example, right now I'm in the office with Mihai, the lead developer, and we don't play the game the same way, and we had totally different experience. I mean, I'm the kind of guy that pauses the game, does a complicated plan with Go codes and everything, right? And he's the kind of guy that plays StarCraft 2 on competition level, right? So he's real time, lots of actions per second, click this, that. And the thing is that the game can be really played in both ways. We don't understand each other on how we play. It's not practical for to go the other guy's style, but it's perfectly possible to play like that. And one thing that we learned at some point, we had a contest, for people to share movies of them getting 3 stars on the beach house level. Yeah, so that was a level which was actually pretty hard and maybe a little bit frustrating, but people were able to finish it. And we had, I don't know, more than 10 guys submitted the videos. Some of them actually submitted more than one video. With one of them actually did the level with just one trooper. So it was perfectly possible, but having different approaches and different routes to the level, concentrating on this, on that. And the more we add to the game, the more it will allow people to actually play the game in different ways and we try different and that's the beauty. I mean, we're kind of doing the game as a little bit tactical sandbox, and we want you to be able to experiment and the game to react to your experiments in a credible and fun way. Yeah. And with the equipment that we add, maybe different equipment options, this will change a lot. Yeah. And on the other side, when we're going to add a replay feature to the game, you'll be able to view the replay, see what happened, or oh, I could have switched that or that, and maybe even export directly to YouTube. So it's easier for you to share your videos of, I had an interesting run for the level, yeah, let's put it out there.
Once you've completely finished, aside from Door Kickers 2, what else is on the cards for KillHouse?
Okay, so when we say aside from Door Kickers 2, Door Kickers 2 is already pretty ambitious, and of course for Door Kickers 1, one thing we want to handle is maybe multiplayer, which a lot of people have requested. So if the amount of money that we get will allow us to do it, we're gonna do it probably. Apart from that, we do have a project, on early planning, but we're not really ready to discuss it. Well, the one thing what we want to do is tell you it will be different, so it won't be about SWAT troopers or anything like that, and it will be heavily multiplayer oriented because at our core we're really multiplayer people. Either playing StarCraft 2 or Company of Heroes or I don't know, even shooters a lot. And we feel the multiplayer experience is really, really important for the game. I mean, it's one thing for you to watch somebody playing Door Kickers, which is single player. Let's see how he plays, and it's a totally different experience when you are watching two live players going, wit against wit. So it will be something very strong on that side, but a totally different subject. Of course, we are still sticking to what's making our company, KillHouse Games. It won't be a game about fluffy bunnies running around the field. It will be something military themed and with some realistic aspects and tactics and equipment in it.
Sounds good. Thanks for your time, Dan, and answering the questions. It's been nice. It's been nice chatting with you. And this is Freelancer with Pixel Judge, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, thanks for the interview and for your time, and enjoy the game.